Thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. Topping our newscast, the VI election system continues to finalize details on the fast-approaching primary elections. Meanwhile, elections supervisor Caroline Fawkes is taking some heat regarding an incident involving the destruction of public documents submitted by election candidates. The district boards are divided on whether the documents were required from the election candidates at all. News 2's April Knight has that story.
As the primaries draw near, complaints are not only hurled against candidates. Freshman election supervisor Caroline Fawkes also drew fire.
This is her first election, and she's trying to be very careful about sticking to the letter of the law.
The issue, Fawkes admitting to destroying police records submitted by candidates as part of their nomination packages. Fawkes said she took it upon herself as election supervisor with the support of the St. Croix District Board to require police records from candidates.
With what happened in legislature with that person and another person in St. Thomas that was not reporting that they were sexual offenders. So the board thought, for certain positions, since it's of higher office, you should collect police records. So it's been back and forth.
The St. Thomas St. John board does not completely agree with this method. Board chairman Arturo Watlington says court documents would have been the way to go, not police records that could ruin a candidate's chances without revealing anything concrete on criminal background.
The police record can show you is a proof or a record of an arrest or a record of an allegation, a record of an accusation. It is not a record of a conviction. So if you want the conviction, you go to the court.
As for the shredding of the police records, according to Fawkes, it's just a matter of no longer needing those records.
I did the thorough check that I needed. I started contacting, talk to certain groups and asked if they wanted back. Some got theirs back, and so the rest we just decided to shred.
It remains unclear whether the incident would greatly impact the election process. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
News 2 did try to reach the office of the VI Attorney General for comment on this issue. Be sure to count on 2 to keep you updated on the latest election updates. A gubernatorial candidate, meanwhile, the forum is underway, brought to you by SETI, CRRA, Outtown Frederiksted, and the Democratic Party of St. Croix. The event began with a meet and greet around 4:30 at Pier 69 Restaurant and Courtyard. Then the forum began with the gubernatorial candidates addressing key topics. In attendance expected Donna Christensen, Gerard Luz James II, Marvin Pickering, Gregory Francis, and Melito Smith. The forum consists of panelists and moderators from the private sector in association with local business owners, associations, and professionals, both from downtown areas of Christiansted and Frederiksted. Governor John DeYoung vetoed several bills last week Friday. The vetoed bills include a bill that would repurpose the Massac nursing home because of a current negotiation that involves the use of the building to service persons with disabilities, according to DeYoung. The governor also vetoed a revised version of the bill sponsored by Senator Sean Michael Malone that would give tax breaks and benefits to certain tenants of the Research and Technology Park, as well as waive some requirements in order to qualify for such benefits. The governor did approve several bills, including a bill that requires the Bureau of Motor Vehicles to create and enforce a vehicle emissions inspection, and a bill that makes clear some tax exemptions for companies that produce renewable energy and sell the product to the Water and Power Authority. In other news, major crime detectives on St. Thomas are investigating a fatal shooting that occurred on July 13th on Monster Hill in Estate Tutu. Police were called to the scene where they found a white four-door Toyota Corolla with the glass shattered and an unresponsive male lying near the scene. The victim was later identified as 19-year-old Sheldon Benjamin Jr. If you have any information on this case, you are encouraged to call Crime Stoppers or 911.
Through the area when an unknown number of assailants fired on the vehicle. The victim exited the vehicle and tried to get away, but was shot several times and collapsed in the road. Emergency medical technicians on the scene said the victim was shot several times and that they could not detect any vital signs. The victim was taken to the Schneider Regional Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead by medical staff.
Meanwhile, police on St. John arrested 26-year-old California native William Taylor and 29-year-old Virginia native David Giles Jr., charging both of them with rape in the first degree. According to a report, the victim first encountered the males while attending events at the St. John Festival in the early morning hours of June 28th. She said the males took her to another location where they sexually assaulted her and then returned to the festival activities. The victim reported the assault to police that same day and pointed them out after spotting them on July 4th in the area of the festival village. The two were arrested and placed on $75,000 bail each. What caused the grounding of a Sabre Spirit 190-foot cargo ship? Coast Guard Marine casualty investigators are investigating after the Panamanian flag vessel ran aground Friday morning and was later refloated with the rising tide between St. Thomas and Great St. James. Officials say there is no sign of oil pollution leaking from the vessel, and it does not present a threat to the environment. The ship was traveling from Tortola BVI to St. Thomas with a 12-man crew. No injuries were reported. St. Thomas motorists noticed some changes over the weekend. Public Works Commissioner Darrell Smalls announced that as of Saturday, all 4 lanes on Frenchmans Bay Road, which is also known as Route 30 on St. Thomas, was open to traffic. Smalls said the contractor will be continuing construction activities on minor items of work, such as the completion of the pavement markings, testing of traffic signals, installation of permanent signs, and irrigation system at various locations throughout the project. Motorists must now adhere to the directional signs and traffic lights at the intersection and proceed with caution.
As we know, this project has been underway for probably about 5 years. It's been about 4 different phases of this project, and we're culminating with the final phase now, which entails the reopening of the roadway in front of the West Indian Corporation. It is truly an exciting time within the Department of Public Works to see this project finally come into fruition. We've had many challenges through the years, and to see it finally being open, I think it will be a tremendous benefit to the motoring public, as well as the visitors who traverse in that area.
A number of events and some high-profile meetings are marking 3 months since an Islamic militant group captured more than 200 Nigerian schoolgirls. And here's an update. Activists in Washington, D.C. are stepping up pressure on the Nigerian government, and so is a young internationally known terrorism survivor, pushing them to help free the girls. Croix Boswell reports.
Activists outside the Nigerian embassy say they are re-energizing the Bring Back Our Girls effort, the Twitter campaign that helped bring international attention to the abduction of more than 200 Nigerian schoolgirls.
We want to make it clear to people that the movement is not dead, and we have not forgotten the fate of these girls.
What do we want?
The group wants a new plan to battle Boko Haram, the Islamic militants that kidnapped the girls. The extremist leader marked 3 months of holding the girls captive with a video mocking the social media efforts to free them, implying Nigeria would get its girls back after the government frees captured Boko Haram fighters.
Bring back our girls. Bring back our army.
Parents of the missing girls are increasingly critical of the failure of the Nigerian government to rescue their daughters. On Sunday, Malala Yousafzai, the survivor of a Taliban assassination attempt, visited the families. Monday, she urged the Nigerian president and the international community to take action.
If we think that this country is far away in Africa and it's not going to affect other countries, we're really wrong.
Protesters plan to keep up the pressure and say the Nigerian president will hear their voices during a planned U.S. visit in August. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
Be sure to tune in to CBS Evening News at 7:30 for more. Keeping our eye on the economy, Citigroup has agreed to a $7 billion settlement with the U.S. Justice Department. The government has been investigating the bank over its faulty mortgage-backed securities, which helped cause the financial crisis in 2008. Attorney General Eric Holder announced the agreement this morning. Here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. The Dow, NASDAQ, S&P all up. The Dow 111, NASDAQ 24, S&P 9. Coming up on News 2, our summer fun idea. Last newscast, we told you about going down below. This time we'll tell you about flying high, sky high, and you can't beat the awesome view and bragging rights. Plus, a not-for-profit camp that is benefiting hearing-impaired students. We'll have more on that. Our Everyday People segment is coming up. Time for our summer fun segment. Here is something exciting to try. Consider yourself to be adventurous? Well, for the ultimate adrenaline rush, Skydive Virgin Islands makes it possible for you to take the leap from 10,000 feet. Enjoying the breathtaking bird's eye view of the Virgin Islands, free falling at 120 miles per hour, a canopy ride over the island, or the tandem jump where you can enjoy a parachute floating experience. After a brief skydiving class, safety jump harnessed to one of Skydive Virgin Islands trained and certified professionals. Once finished, get professionally edited video and photos for bragging rights. Skydive VI operates on the island of St. Croix and St. Thomas. They're located at the Henry E. Rolson and Cyril E. King Airport, respectively. One St. Croix summer camp is making a difference for students who are deaf and hearing impaired. In addition to continuing year-round education, organizing for the camp are opening doors to exploration. NEWS2's Erica Parsons shines a light this month on Deaf Camp St. Croix.
Jonathan James is doing things he's never done before.
We made our own peanut butter and, had that on some vegetables and apples. Snorkeling, for sure. We've had those snorkels on and the fins going on, and that part's been really fun, getting down and seeing what we found in the water.
Jonathan is one of almost 15 people participating in Deaf Camp St. Croix this summer.
I work in the public schools during the school year, but for summertime, there's nothing happening for the deaf kids. So they just go and they're isolated and their language goes downhill.
This year is the first summer the camp is being offered. One of the goals is to increase the number of people who know how to sign.
There isn't any reason they can't get together and practice using sign and making more friends and bringing in their siblings and their parents and just building that signing environment.
My son Marcus, he's 11. We both decided to participate in this camp because we've been learning sign language, so we figured this would be a great outlet to practice.
On Monday, the campers worked with horses, learning all about them and grooming and feeding them. Giving the students exposure to the cultures of St. Croix is another of the camp's goals.
This island is so gorgeous and the biodiversity is so fabulous. So when we get out and do some hiking, we've had a few leaders take us through and show us the different kinds of trees and the different kinds of bugs. And then we learned that some of them can be eaten.
Camp director Norma has been working with the hearing impaired for more than 20 years, and it's a program she'd like to see grow.
We will. Every year. We'll just see how it starts growing.
For Jonathan and others in the program, it's really helping them to come out of their shell.
How many kids get to say, we ate bugs at summer camp?
Erica Parsons, NEWS2.
Meanwhile, dozens of children and their parents got heart healthy on Saturday. Organizers for the Luzzie's Heart Foundation, we told you about, hosted a fun day to get children moving and learning how to eat healthy.
Our theme for the fun day is get active, get healthy. So we're here talking about ways on getting active by playing games and getting healthy as far as like eating healthy and learning about different foods and drinks that'll help us.
We all have the choice as to how we're going to live. We can choose to be transformed by eating food that brings life, or we can choose to be sick and unhealthy by eating foods that bring death. And just bringing that message of truth to understanding, especially to the younger population, to let them know that you don't have to end up with diabetes or high blood pressure or high cholesterol.
Great message there. The Commissioner of the VI Banking, Division of Banking and Insurance, Lieutenant Governor Gregory Francis, recently convened a meeting with some executives of Blue Cross Blue Shield of the USVI to discuss the availability in 2015 of individual health insurance policies in the territory. In a released statement, Francis said the discussion was a next step following his meeting earlier this year with President Barack Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, and representatives of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to discuss 2015 enrollment under the Affordable Care Act. He's hoping to come to an agreement with Blue Cross by the first quarter of 2015. Bastille Day, celebrated on July 14th, is the national holiday of France. VI residents of French heritage celebrate it as well during French Heritage Week, which is recognized from July 8th to the 14th. And of course, the highlight is the Northside Sport Fishing Club's annual Bastille Kingfish Tournament held at Hull Bay on north side of St. Thomas. Many were in attendance, enjoying food, fun, and music by Cool Sessions Brass and the Get Together Band. Bastille is celebrated on July 14th because on this day in 1789, the people of Paris rose up against the government of King Louis and captured the fortress of Bastille. This symbolized a new feeling of freedom, which spread throughout France and led to the establishment of a new popular government. St. Thomas is home to a large group of French people, and their descendants immigrated from St. Bart's from the late 1800s through to around the 1960s. Senator Myron Jackson joined in the recognition. He said the French community, whose early presence in the Virgin Islands has contributed to the social, culture, and economic fabric of the territory. The French Heritage Museum in Frenchtown, that was dedicated on July 9, 2004, is one place that showcases the history with over 400 keepsakes and heirlooms donated by the local community. The winners of the Kingfish Tournament, that's coming up later in sports. We'll be right back.